kindergarten does a great job for us, don't they? That their staff is so excellent. They just come in quietly, serve the food, and disappear. So that's we want to thank them for taking good care of us today. I am so pleased. I am so pleased to have the opportunity to introduce Kim Hodous to you this morning. Oh, it's still, let's see, no, it's afternoon already, a couple minutes past noon. I want to welcome all of you, first of all. I hope that you have been enjoying the morning at the expo, and this is a good time for us to just sort of sit down and relax and regroup and get some really good information and have a good time. I will tell you that I've been checking Kim out before we talked about having her come here to speak at this event, and I'm telling you, everything I saw about her was just outstanding. So not only is she a smart lady and have really good information for you, but she's really fun, and so we're going to have a good time today, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about her, and I know you've all been reading the stuff I've been putting out about her already, so you probably feel like you already know her, just like I do. But she's an award-winning entrepreneur, author, speaker, a fun-loving mom, and all-around lover of life. Armed with the experience of taking her kitchen table hobby to a 7-figure business, she combines the lessons she learned along the way with a fresh perspective on work and life. And I know you're just going to love hearing from her, and you're going to learn so much from our speaker. So help me to welcome Kim Hodous.
Gentleman, and he was afraid his wife was going deaf because she just wasn't listening to him anymore. And he was at the doctor, and he said, "You know, doctor, what should I do?" And the doctor said, "Well, listen, when you get home, start at the far side of the room, ask her a question, and see how close you have to get." So it was perfect when he got home. His wife was over at the kitchen sink. So he started over here, and he said, "Hey, honey, what's for dinner?" Got nothing. So he gets a little closer, a little louder. "Hey, honey, what's for dinner?" No response. He gets up right behind her. "Hey, honey, what's for dinner?" She turns around and says, "Meatloaf. I've told you 3 times. Has that ever happened to anybody but me in life, in a business? You know, there's a problem out there, and we think, oh, the problem's with them, or the problem's with that. But we can't control what goes on out there. We can't control what happens with the economy. You can't control what happens with the automotive industry, right? There's only one thing in life that we have complete control over. And what's that? Yeah, ourselves. And that is good news. Whoop, whoop. Let me tell you how this works. Now, it's always a little dicey, talking right after lunch. It's dependent on how much bread you've had. It's possible you can go into a carb coma on me, right? So, I go whoop, whoop, and then right after you eat it with the arm motions, all right? So let's practice. Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, that was pretty good, but that back table didn't play along. I was a school teacher. I know about the people that sit in the back. Let's try again. Whoop, 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 whoop. One more time back there. Whoop, 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 whoop. All right. So today, we are just going to have some fun and learn a few things. How many of you need more fun in your lives? Yeah. How many of you work with some people who need to learn a few things? Yeah. If they're at your table, you don't need to nudge them or anything, right? Okay, I'm so excited to be here. Before we get started, I'd just love to give you a little bit of background on who I am and how I came to be here. Would that be okay?
Yep.
All right. So one thing that Sandy didn't say, one of my greatest achievements, is that I am a mother of 5. Yes, I know. 5 C-sections for you women. I mean, they're my babies. And so I was a stay-at-home mom. And my mom was a minister, and my dad was a minister, and my mom was a school teacher. And it was kind of programmed into me from the time I was a little girl that I was going to grow up and be a teacher. So I was a teacher for about 4 years, and then something started to happen. I started to get called to the principal's office more often than my students. I would get in trouble for something, so I decided it was time to retire. I had 4 kids in 5 years, and then I added a caboose 9 years later. So I just have 1 kid at home now. People say to me, "Well, do you think you'll have an empty nest?" I say, "No, I have a passport. I finally get to use it." And it was as a stay-at-home mom that I started making little beaded bracelets at my kitchen table. And because I sang I was in the right place at the right time and I lead a charmed life, I was able to grow that little kitchen table hobby to $1 million business. And then from the success of that, I began to get asked to speak, and now I get to travel all over the country and speak to groups just like this. So for me, I feel like I am really living my dream. In addition to that, I'm happily married to a hottie. We've been together 30 years on and off. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that later as well. And on top of family I love and work I love, I also have a really rich life that's independent of both of those things. In Arkansas, we have Lake Washita. Has anybody heard of Lake Washita? Have any of you heard of Lake Tahoe? Yeah. Everybody has heard of Lake Tahoe. Lake Washita is the second cleanest lake in the United States to Lake Tahoe. But nobody knows about it. All my friends are like, Kim, quit telling people. But I have a boat on Lake Washita. And every summer, I spend 7 days on an island completely alone in the silence. So I've been able to really craft a life that's perfect for me. That is me getting to live my dream. And I really kind of found out there were three things that I did to create that life. And they were to show up, be bold, and play big. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Whoop, whoop! Whoop. All right, it's still with me. So here's the thing. Like I said, my daddy was a minister. He had one style of presenting. I learned from both of my parents. My mother was a school teacher. She had a completely different style. How mom taught was she would get a lecture, have people take notes, give them a worksheet to review, the concept, and then a quiz to determine mastery. So that's one option we got today. Lecture notes, worksheet, quiz. Okay? You guys excited about that? You want to hear option 2? Daddy, now I promise not to preach at you, but Daddy believed in the 3-point sermon. His whole thing was, Kimmy, all you do is you tell a story, make a point. Tell a story, make a point. Tell a story, make a point, and wrap it up. So we got 2 options, okay? Mamas or daddies? Yeah. So we're just going to use a show of hands, okay? We got mama over here, lecture notes, handout, quiz. How many want mama style? Oh, mama. All right, well, you better be convincing. How many want just story hour? Okay, whoop, whoop. You guys are good. All right. So I'm just going to tell some stories. First story is about my very first sales call. Now, my business had reached $1 million in sales before I ever had to make a sales call because we sold at trade shows just like this. I spent so many hours in trade shows, you've got no idea. And we sold through distributors. So we developed a retail line, and it is my first face-to-face sales call. I've got an appointment with the buyer. I'm all dressed up. I don't know how many of you own your own businesses, but I don't know about you, but like if I don't have an appointment or I'm not going to a trade show, I pretty much look like I'm going to the gym. So, I was dressed up. I had suit on, I had, hair done, makeup on, clean clothes. I was ready to go get it. I had done some online sales training because I'd never done any sales, and I am ready to go. I'm so excited. And I boast to my staff, never a good thing to do, I find out, that I'm going to come back with a $5,000 sale. Like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to have a $5,000 sale. So I show up the first day. I've got my sample case. I'm dressed up bright-eyed. I walk in just the way I've been told I'm supposed to, hand my business card to the receptionist across the counter, and say, "Hi, I'm Kim Hodous, and I'm here for an appointment with James." This woman looks at me like I have spoken the name of the devil. And she said, "You're here to see James?" And then her eyes go across the room to this man. Now, if you could have seen a black cloud, he would have had one over him. His face was down. He was mumbling. He looked angry. And the receptionist says, "James, you have a 10 o'clock. He doesn't even look up. "No, I don't want one." I had not been prepared for this in my sales training, let me just say. The receptionist physically backs out of the way, looks at James, tell him I'll call him back, looks at James and says, "Well, this lady says she's here to meet you." I just smiled and said, "Kim Hodous, 10 o'clock? And he looked at me, he said, "You sit right there." There was this rickety old chair. It looked like it'd been there since the Nixon administration. I just hoped it was going to hold me. He looked at the receptionist, he said, "You come with me." Now, James is a smart guy. I happen to know that that James is in charge of a $10 million budget. He's a buyer for a major chain of stores. And, this is, again, my first time I'm having to meet with the buyer to get this is a retail line we developed. So he was a smart guy, but not on the top of his game that day. Because when he goes into his office, I guess he doesn't know that sitting on the rickety chair outside, I can hear him. He says to the receptionist, give me 5 minutes with this woman, then come in and say I've got a phone call and get her out of here. Like, okay, well this is going great. So there I was. It's easy to show up when things are going well, right? It's much harder to show up when things are not going your way. What do we do when things aren't going our way? So often we try to avoid those situations. We get afraid of them. We don't want that to happen. But you know what? That's when we learn. That's when we grow. That's when you find out what kind of a leader you are, what kind of a salesperson you are, what kind of a parent you are, what kind of a friend you are. I would guess to say that probably the hardest times in your life are the times that you've learned the most. So don't try to avoid those hard times. That's when we really learn. That's when we grow. Now, I was in a tough situation, and I have something that I usually do that is so helpful when I'm in a tough situation. I feel sorry for myself. I can't believe this. Why did I pick this store first? Why me? Why this day? I do that for 30 seconds. Just a pity party. Oh, poor me. After 30 seconds, that's long enough. And that's when it's time to start to look at your strengths. What do you bring to this situation that is going to change things around? What can you do? Now, there are two schools of thought on strengths and weaknesses. One is that you need to identify your weaknesses, and then you need to work to make those your strengths, right? The other school of thought is that you identify your strengths, and then you just capitalize on those. I happen to be in the school of thought with the latter, because I don't really need to look at my weaknesses, because I have a husband and children who are happy to point those out to me all the time, or occasionally they like to show those to me. So, I'm the one who believes in looking at your strengths. And when you look at your strengths, it's always good to think, okay, it actually can get tricky. And you want to know why? Because we have been kind of programmed to look at the negative. Think about this. Your kid brings in their report card. They've got all A's and 1 D. What's the first thing you say? Tell me about that D. What's going on there, right? Women, I don't know if this has ever happened to any of you. You get a new haircut, and like 20 people go, oh, I love your hair that way. And one person goes, I think I liked it better the other way. What do? You go home and obsess about that one person. Oh my God. Then, I don't know if you play golf, you get par on every hole, and then you get like a triple bogey. Somebody says, how was your game? What are you going to say? I had a triple bogey. So we tend to focus on the negative. It's just a pattern we've got to look at what's going wrong instead of what's going right. So I just want to see if any of you have any patterns you need to break. So everybody stand up. So what I want you to do is take your left hand, bring it up, bring it to the side, bring it in front, bring it to your chin. Okay. Chin. Well, at least I know who my visual learners are. Okay. Let me just take a little math problem. This is for the analytical brains in the room. Don't get out your phones, but I want you to take 1,000 and add 40 to it. Add to that another 1,000 plus 30, another 1,000 plus 20, another 1,000 plus 10. Shout out your answer. 5,000. Okay. How many people got 5,000? Yeah. You know what? I've done this with probably 1 million people over the last 12 years. I've been a professional speaker. The real answer is 4,100. But 98% of people get 5,000. I'll tell you why in a minute. I'm going to tell you one more. So I'm just going to tell you a story, and the answer to the question is in the story. You're a bus driver. At the first stop, a woman wearing a red coat gets on the bus. At the second stop, where's Devin? Is Devin in here? Devin's not in here. All right, well, Devin, this is for you. A man carrying a Red Wings backpack gets off. How many like the Red Wings? Woof, woof. All right, I was going to say Detroit Lions, but I don't know. They're a little dicey these days, but I'm going to go with the Red Wings. 25 years in the playoffs, right? All right. So, woman with a red coat gets on, man with a Red Wings backpack gets off, and the third stop, two boys carrying soccer balls get on the bus. Answers in the story. What did the bus driver have for breakfast? All right, let me tell you the story one more time. I'm just going to emphasize one word. You are a bus driver. What did the bus driver have for breakfast?
Captain Crunch.
All right. So why does this happen? It's just a pattern. It's a habit. Our mind thinks in certain ways. Just like we tend to look at the negative instead of looking at the positive, looking for what's gone wrong instead of what's gone right, and what can I change and what can I look forward to. Thank you. You can have a seat. So, finally, so when it comes to strengths and weaknesses, figure out what your strengths are, okay? I knew in this situation that one strength that I had, it's something I hear all the time, is that I'm just real. People are like, you're just so real. And my kids are like, Mom, sometimes you're too real. So I thought, I'm getting stressed out sitting on the little chair. Finally, I get to go in, and I'm so glad. Because I had my little jewelry case, and I was so afraid he's going to make me sit in that hallway and flash me my jewels and not even let me in his office. So when I finally get in the door, I walk in, nothing could have prepared me for what I saw. I came around the corner, it literally looked like my 14-year-old son's bedroom. I mean, it was like, there were clothes strewn around, there were empty fast food containers and bags. It was a mess. He actually had the decency to look a little sheepish, and he said, I'm sorry, I'm going through something really hard personally right now, and I just haven't been that good at work. I was just like, no problem. And, he moved a few fast food bags and a pizza box in his coat, and I got to have a seat. And there I sat. And then he said, I got to answer an email. So he started looking on his computer, and I started looking around. And you know how sometimes you just think, I know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. This guy's going through the divorce. So having, just had my little bit of online sales training, not really knowing what I'm doing, I was just real. I just blurted out, are you going through divorce? He goes, yes. How'd you know? Yes. You want to talk about it? Did he want to talk about it? For 2 hours, he talked about it. But see, I've been through a divorce, so I could relate to him. I could talk. We laughed and we cried. At the end of 2 hours, I said, James, I really do think my jewelry is a good fit for your stores. I said, can I make an appointment in a couple weeks and come back and show you my jewelry? He said, you know what? My head feels clearer right now than it has in weeks. He said, let me just see your jewelry. So again, another one of my strengths. I can change plans on a dime. Pick up my little sample case, put it out there. Don't even give him a spiel, because at that point I had forgotten what it was. And he took a look at my jewelry. Now that day I did not leave with a $5,000 order. I did, however, leave with an $8,000 order. Yeah. And I know what you guys are thinking. You're thinking, wow, Kim is a great salesperson. No, you're not thinking that. You're thinking, I bet he just ordered from you because he felt bad because he'd taken 2 hours of your time. That's what you're thinking, aren't you? Well, just so you know, he placed an $8,000 order that day. He placed a $6,000 order the next week, a $14,000 order a couple weeks after that. And in the 3 years I had that division of my company open, he was the largest customer I had. And I really only worked with him one other time after that. I always worked with his assistant. So when we show up and we focus on our strengths and we be more of who we are. If I had tried to have a great sales pitch and not been real, I'm sure that meeting would have gone very differently. My jewelry probably still would have gotten in the stores because it was a great fit, but it would have happened in a different way. So when you show up, focus on your strengths. Be more of who you are. And that's when things will really start to open up for you. All right, showing up is critical. The other thing that's critical is being bold. Now, Webster's defines bold as standing out so as to be noticed, like bold text or bold type, okay? There are millions of people every day that get up and they are completely bold. They are fully engaged with the people around them. They are excited about whatever task is before them. They are full on for whatever gets put in front of their plate. And do you know what those millions of people have in common? They're under the age of 5. I've always said children are our teachers, so I had to have 5. I had a lot to learn. But being bold is just about how do you make yourself stand out? And I have found there is one thing that anybody in this room can do that will make you stand out from the competition, from those people around you. So simple. Be positive. Be positive. We live in a world of negativity. CNN, most widely broadcast news station in the world. I checked it last night in my hotel room. Guess what? It is all doom and gloom, right? I'm at, where's little Heather? Where's Heather? With the Trenton over here. Heather has the Trenton Trib, right? Is that how you say it? An all-positive newspaper. And from all accounts, Heather, you're growing, right? Yes. People are craving things that are positive. They say that 85% of what we hear on a regular basis is negative. I mean, think about that. If all you did was be positive, you would stand out. And, we kind of get it as a cultural norm. Help me finish any of these phrases if you can. You better save money for a rainy day. Yeah. You better hope the other shoe doesn't drop. And my favorite, oh, this is too good to be true. Yeah. So we get the message, even if things are going well, don't trust it. It's not going to last. You better prepare because it's not for real. It's not going to stay. We do it to ourselves with our own words. Have you ever heard anybody say, oh, I always get sick this time of year? Yeah. You know what I say? I bet you do. That's what you're telling yourself. I travel all over the country. I hear this all the time. I'm no good at remembering names. I think, of course you're not. You're programming your brain that way. One of my favorite is I just can't lose weight. This woman came up to me and she said, I just cannot lose weight after having a baby. I said, oh, how old's your baby? She said, well, he's in college now. Too late. But here's the problem. Whatever we start with, we end up with. If you go into your kitchen to make a pie and you have peaches, what kind of pie are you coming out with?
Peach pie.
A peach pie. That's the only thing that can happen. And whatever you start with is what you end up with. So if you start with negativity, you are going to end up with more negativity. Now, I realize in this room I have a lot of visual learners. So I'm going to give you a physical demonstration. So I need a couple of volunteers to come up. Oh, come on up! All right, and another one right here. Come on up. All right. I want you to stand up here so people can see you. Tell everybody your name and who you're with. I'm Alice Smith Brown with Global Travels. All right, yay, Alice, and you come right here.
I'm Marika Diamond with the ASF Corporation.
Okay, Marika?
Marika.
Okay, all right. So you two stand. So you stand right here in front, and I want you to put your right arm out. Okay? There we go. No, you're perfect right here. There you go. Okay, give him a round of applause. And you're going to resist, okay? Ooh, that's some muscles. All right, here we go. All right, good. That's where you're taking. Put your arm down. Now I want you to look at all of them, and I want you to say, I love my life. My life is great. Everything always works out for me. Say it together.
I love my life. My life is great. Everything always works out for me.
Okay, put your arm back up. I'm going to try to push it down. Ooh, good. All right. Good. Okay, now I want you to look out at them, and I want you to say, I hate my life. My life is horrible. Nothing ever works out for me. Tell them how awful it is.
I love my life.
No, you hate it. You volunteer. Play with me. Okay, you just got to just say it and just mean it. Like, just think if you had that horrible life. Just go ahead and say it.
I hate my life. Nothing ever works out.
Life
Life is horrible and nothing ever works out for me.
Yeah. Okay, put your arm out.
Or me.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah. You're going out on the floor. Look at what negativity does. All I did was say something negative and she doesn't even really believe it. So let's see. So that's what, I'm going to get you all tangled up here. So that's what our own words can do to us when we talk to ourselves negatively. Let's see the power of somebody else's words. So I want to say to both of you that I think it is so impressive that in front of your peers, having no idea what's going to be asked of you, you both raised your hands, you stepped up here, and whoever you work for in this chamber, in this community, is lucky to have you in your midst. Thank you both so much. I thought I was in charge. This goes to show. All right, put your arm back down. Let's see what happens. Here we go. Oh, it's not going down. Here we go. Not going down. Okay. So that's the power of my words. You want it to get even weirder? Just remember they volunteered and I have presents for them at the end. Okay? So, I know you don't want to do it, but we're just going to send them negative energy. No words. Not a word. Just send them negative thoughts. Just like, let them have it. Just feel that negative energy. Like, oh, we're with people. Okay, let's see what happens. Put your arm out. She's ready. She's going to try so hard. Doesn't matter. She's going to try so hard. Doesn't matter. Do you get what that means? It's not only what we say to our co-workers, our clients, our children, our spouses. It is what we think about them. It was your thoughts that brought their energy down, that made them weaker. It is not just what we say to the people around us, it is what we think about them. Now these two ladies deserve a standing ovation, so stand up, give them a round. All right, they're back. Double-handed. They're back. So I told you I'd tell you a little bit about my hottie husband, who I've been married to on and off for 30 years. About 15 years ago, we had a personal tragedy in our family. And it was so devastating to both of us that we just couldn't get over it. I said we were kind of like two people with broken legs. We were both hurt and we couldn't help each other up. So we ended up getting divorced. And we were divorced for 5 years, but we're only apart 2 of that. And when we were divorced, my husband got some counseling. I did too. I'm a huge proponent of counseling. And so it was his last session of his counseling. We were back together. We were going to be getting married. And the counselor said, you know, Robert, I'd like you to bring Kim to your last appointment. So I went to meet Dr. Phillip for the first time. Dr. Phillip had us both sit down. He said, I brought you here, Kim, because I want you both to hear a story. He said, the story's about 2 friends, Mary Ann and Martha. Now, Martha didn't really like her husband. Martha was not very happy in her marriage. Their connection was kind of gone. Mary Ann, on the other hand, still loved her husband. They were compatible. They had a good time together. And Martha got a little sick of hearing about, Mary Ann's great husband. So she said, Mary, why don't you do me a favor? For 1 week, just keep track of everything he does that drives you crazy. Every time you have to ask him to do something twice, every time he's a little bit irritating, just see what you get. Mary Ann said she'd do it, and so she had a notebook. And sure enough, after like 1 week, she had pages and pages and pages of this stuff this man that she loved and adored did. At that point in the story, Dr. Phillips stops. He looks my husband square in the eye and he says, Robert, do you know why I told you this story? And I was just so glad he didn't pick me, because I had no idea. He said, Robert, I told you this story because whatever you look for in Kim, you will find. Whatever you look for in the people around you, in the situations you're in, you will find. So we have to make sure we are always looking for the very best in every circumstance and in every person that we come in contact with. Now, I have to tell you, I started my talk off on purpose, talking about how great my life is, my big family, my haughty husband, my successful career, my time alone. And I'm sure it didn't happen in this room. It happened in other states where there are some people who are just not so excited for me. Yeah, you know who you are. But see, there was a wise Indian shaman who said that the subconscious mind can't tell the difference between criticism of someone else and criticism of oneself. So when we block something for somebody else, we block it for ourselves. We have got to lift up the people around us. It is astounding to me that in our culture, all you have to do is not die for 365 days, and we will have a party for you. Right? Cake, candles, presents. If all you did was not die, yet the person in the cubby next to you or down the hall completed the first college course, walked the 5K, had one of their kids graduate from college, celebrate 25 years of marriage. That goes by without a bleep. But don't die. We'll have a party. How are you lifting up the people around you? I think the greatest tool any business can have is one of those white, either a whiteboard or one of those, the white butcher block paper. Twice a week, find something great somebody in the office has done and recognize that. Lift up the people around you. That will make you stand out and be bold. Whoop, whoop! I play big. Play big. Everybody say it. Just use your arms and go, play big. Ah, you feel better already, don't you? All right, playing big. There was a man who was fishing. Every time he caught a fish, he would hold it up to this stick, and if the fish was bigger than the stick, he would throw the fish back. This little boy was watching him, and he just couldn't stand it anymore. He said, "Mister, how come you keep throwing those big fish back?" And the man said, "Well, this stick is the size of my frying pan." And we laugh at that. But in how many ways do we limit ourselves? Right? Oh, that can't happen to me because what? Because I live in a small community. That can't happen to me because I live in the city. I'm too young for that. Oh, I'll have to wait till I'm older to do that. I'm going to wait till I lose 50 pounds. I'm going to wait till I find the right mate. Whatever it is, we come up with all kinds of excuses to limit ourselves and hold ourselves back. When I decided I was going to build $1 million company, I had 0 business experience. I had been a school teacher and a stay-at-home mom.